Welcome to Feminine Power Time. Turn off the chatter and tune in to what matters. This is Christine O'Reilly, your host, and welcome to the place where we are reimagining the way that we in the world work from the inside out through the lens of the feminine. And I am here today to invite you into, this will be the 10th year that we continue on with our tradition of dropping in with one of the most powerful practices I know for staying centered, sustained, clear, resilient, radiant, connected, or what I like to call staying harmonized. And it's called the power pause. And I'm not going to get into the whole thing of what those are. We'll get into that in a second. But what I do want to invite you into is a couple things. One is that because we've been doing these power pauses for so long, I decided to reach back into the wisdom library. And so for those of you that are new here, you may not know this. And for those of you that have been around a while, you may not know this too, is that a couple years ago, I decided to take all of these years and years and years of episodes of Feminine Power Time and make a library of series that are like a wisdom library that you could go back into at any time and find different episodes that would relate to where you are right now. And this is part of why I'm giving a prelude to the actual power pause that we'll take here together, is that this is one of the ways the feminine works. When we really honor the feminine, it's not always we're the creatrix, which is the archetype that we just looked at last time when we were at the last turn, isn't always like make more, make new. We actually graft off of things we've already done, or we value that wisdom, in many ways doesn't change. And so we can come back to and refresh things a bit, but we don't have to change the essence of what it is. And that's what I've done here today. I looked back in the library, which you can, if you go to femininepowertime.com, you'll see an easy way to get into the series library there. And the thing is, this wisdom still holds for us right now. And so I looked back at the episodes for the Equinox power pauses, and I chose this one for us, which is really about an honoring and receiving ritual for you all, and for me too, to take a pause and really feel deep inside your bones, your heart, your being, your body, all that you have received and all of the ways in which you've made a difference. And so that's what this episode is going to be about today. I also wanted to invite you all to the live power pause that we're doing this year that is publicly available. And this particular power pause is called the Fall Power Pause Personal Leadership Edition, and you can register for it at fallpowerpause.com. And basically what I and my collaborator, Catherine Turini, have done is we took the power pause technology we use to do cyclical strategic planning with teams, and also the work that we've been doing with power pausing and cyclical intention setting and co-creating in the feminine wisdom way, and we brought them together to really create this experience that includes a guidebook that you can do self-led, and or you can join us live on the September 19th, and or even get the recording of that later. We'll facilitate you through it. A way to really approach this last quarter of the year from the perspective of where is the momentum, and I want to give energy there. Where's the pressure? This is something I do every fall, is I do a pressure inventory and release practice that many of you who have read Overwhelm and Over It might have experienced in the book. It's the last actual chapter. And we're going to do that with everybody as part of this. So go to fallpowerpause.com. You can learn more about it. It's a gift for all of you leaders, founders, co-creators, those that are out there supporting others. We really need a place to land. And so Catherine and I created this as a way that we could give to the community. So we'd love to have you there. And this particular podcast, the one with the honoring ritual, it's a great prelude into that, because it's all about really honoring and receiving what it is that you need. This was originally taped in 2023, and I just went through it myself. And it was like a bath of love for my heart and soul. So without further ado, take a breath, take a beat, and let's flow on in. So let's start with what is an honoring ritual anyway? An honoring ritual, think of the word honor and ritual, is the choice to acknowledge and give respect and love and appreciation and gratitude to the things that are happening in your life right now that are making a difference, that are a direct reflection of how you've chosen to give your energy, your life force, your time, your mind share, your care. In this case, since the beginning of the year. This is actually what I'm making this taping live at the September equinox. And the equinoxes are one of the 4 points that we always pause on, or what I do called power pausing. And I'll share a little bit about that today. Although whenever you're listening to it is totally fine because it will still be relevant. And what we're going to do today, in addition to me just giving you a little bit of an education on why power pausing, which is one of the top 3 practices for getting out of burnout, staying out of overwhelm, making sure you don't self-sacrifice, and creating a sustainable path for success that makes sure that you live a whole life. Yes, it does all those things. That's why we call it a power pause. And what I did today is I would also share the 3 parts of the power pause, how it always works today as well. And I'm going to give you 3 inquiries that I'm going to invite you to kind of take and contemplate and chew on and make this ritual that we're going to do here together something that you actually feel in your body, feel in your being, and feel in your brain. Meaning one of the reasons we power pause and we do it quarterly is because if you don't actually stop to pause and recognize all of the things that are happening, whether they're visible, and many of them are what we like to call invisible or internal, it's like it doesn't happen. And then what happens is you keep feeling like you don't have enough, you're not where you want to be, there's something that's wrong, you can't feel into the future, you don't know how to change things or quote unquote get there, and it will cause you to constantly live in a state of scarcity, lack, anxiety, frustration. I mean, we could go on and on and on, but let's not do that, right? So it's like, take a breath. We're not going to do that. That's why these are so powerful. So I have been spending every equinox, we come around to this. I've been practicing this myself. Gosh, I kind of learned about all this back in 2003. So I would say a long time that I've been practicing this. And this is where I take my MBA self and she gets married to my mystic self. And then we create powerful processes and systems that allow us in a very practical way to get tuned into what matters so that we can focus our energy there. And so every equinox, I do these power pauses in a big way for teams and organizations where I'll spend a day or 2 days, or this year specifically, I worked with some team leads and taught them how to do the power pauses for their own teams. And I also do them for the Feminine Wisdom Way community and all of the feminine leadership councils that happen. And that just happened today. We had a 2-hour power pause that actually takes place even further. We spend about 3 weeks in this power pause, really giving ourselves some space to contemplate how we want to focus and where we want to put our energy to the last part of the year. So we always pause at the end of September to say, okay, October, November, December, and actually we even go in through January, usually till February 1st, which is another whole teaching on cyclical living. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should listen to the podcast on cyclical living, and we'll see if I can get that wisdom bite in. But just thinking about that right now is where you are in your own cycle, right? Where you are in the year and whenever you're listening to this, but in this case, particularly what's left of this year. And there's a lot of definitions to years. There's, of course, January 1st is a calendar year created by the Roman calendar from Julius Caesar. But, Jewish New Year just happened in September. And it's a great time to actually honor your harvest of what you're receiving. And Chinese New Year is in February. So there's lots of different New Years. But we got to pick time cycles, because if you don't choose a time cycle, you're just in the abyss, which is what brings up all the fear and all of the crazies, right? So that's what we're going to do today. 3 inquiries, a little bit of background and education on the power pause, and a really big invitation for you to slow down and be here with all of us now. I do these for us on Feminine Power Time every year. So they're like mini power pauses. So every year at Equinox, even though the ritual is very similar, the structure is the same. Let's go ahead and take a breath. I'm still here. I choose a theme. Actually, the theme chooses me. Last year, I was in Chicago doing a one-day in-person Equinox retreat, and as I was preparing for that, I got that it was the theme was receive, and we're gonna still use that one for sure, because we can never learn. We can always really practice our receiving, and we're gonna marry it with another theme this year, which is honor. And I love the word honor because it, if you just close your eyes for a moment and just take a breath with me and feel those words together, honor and receive. Honor and receive. So here's the thing I know, dear one. There are ways that you have shown up this year since the last harvest in September. Really, the harvest ends in October, November. So since that, what we like to call the Kiva time, which starts November 1st, since that time last year, I know that there are ways that you have shown up, ways that you've been stretched, ways that you have given your life force to others that have truly made a difference in their lives, ways that you have brought things into more form on the physical realm that at some time in the past were just ideas, ways that things happened that were surprises that maybe caught you off guard and caused you to wobble a bit, but you refound your center, and you should be darn proud of that. Ways that people in the universe showed up for you and brought support and sustainability. And those things need to be honored, because mostly what we do as a culture, hold on one second. Speaking of receiving, Noah just brought me a latte. Thank you, Noah. That's so good. Afternoon latte in my Elevate with Joy mug. Appropriate, that coffee pottery mug I made, and at the bottom it says Elevate with Joy. If we don't pause, love, if you don't pause to honor what I'm calling your harvest, right? The things that you are receiving. Think of harvest like, if we were farmers, you would be out in the fields, and we had planted gardens earlier this year, and then we're harvesting from them, and this is the second harvest. And it would be like just taking the stuff out of the garden and just I'm eating it or just selling it right away, and not savoring it and not loving it and not acknowledging it. And love is the most powerful energy we have on the planet. And that's not goopy and it's not whoopy. It's just the darn truth. And gosh, like one day we will have a world that even the business and the government worlds get that love is the most powerful energy on the planet. So we don't wait for that. And honor is a form of love, to honor something. And so today is about honoring all of the ways in which you are actually receiving harvest. Now, I know that there are things you want to do in your life still that aren't in form. I know that not all the things are the way that you might want them to be. I know that there are challenges that are happening. But if we wait till this day when it's all there and we have what's in our head happening on the physical plane, you're going to miss your freaking life. You're going to miss it. And that's part of this crazy dominating culture. Okay, here comes the fierce feminine. She's just present today. I didn't think she was going to be here, but here she is. You're gonna miss it. You are gonna miss it. You're gonna miss the savoring. You're gonna miss the process. You're gonna miss the joy of what it is that you are actually receiving right now. And when we don't receive, we feel deficient. We feel unfulfilled. We feel that like we're just like a frickin' machine. And, we've talked about this. For all of you who read Overwhelm and Over It, this. The system will take everything you have to give it, and there will still be more to do. And that system might be your family system. It might be a relational system. It could be where you work, a social system, whatever. And so if we don't really strengthen our capacity to receive, we will continue to overgive, which means overworking, overcare tending, over-efforting, over-responsibility, all the overs that eventually bankrupt you and are also bankrupting our planet, because the burnout of people is not separated from the burnout of the planet. So let's shift that. And if all you do, one action that you take from this year's Power Pause is like really embrace this piece of wisdom. When you live in natural harmony with the rhythm of the way the world works, it's a natural rhythm. It doesn't matter where you live on the world, even if you're on the frickin' equator or you live in a place where you don't have green trees, with leaves that fall. It doesn't matter. Because the earth is shifting and the planets are shifting and the stars are shifting and it's all shifting. And so choosing to pause at the quarter points, think of it in your mind's eye right now like a compass. And it has the 4 cardinal points, north, south, west, and east. North and south are the equinoxes, June and December. December's at the bottom. And then you have the equinoxes, March and September, on the east and the west. And then in the in-between places, you have what are like the cross quarter points is what they're called. They're the smaller ones. They're usually on the first of the month, and they're right in between the equinox and the solstice. If you follow that rhythm and you take big pauses at these power pause points and smaller rituals that really connect you into the rhythm of the natural world, which you are part of. I talked about this today in the Power Pause for all of the Women in Feminine Wisdom Way and in the Feminine Leadership Councils. I'm like, look, we are nature. We are. Why do we talk about going to be in nature when you are part of nature? Like, you literally die and you either cremate yourself and your ashes and you go into the dirt or you go into the water, or the little wormies come and get you and you get, sucked back into the soil. So, what makes us think we're not part of the natural world? So wouldn't it be natural? Like, oh, natural world works like this. We are part of the natural world. However, we create this banana world and, in the internet world and the virtual world, and we think that is reality. But if we all went away tomorrow, that virtual world and the internet, bye-bye, see you later, doesn't exist. The buildings would get taken over by all kinds of things. So just think about that for a moment. Where do you want to put your stock at? Where do you want to put your stock at of what's going to provide you security? In the stuff that could disappear tomorrow? Or in the stuff that's been here for a long time, billions of years, and will continue? So why I'm being so apparently fierce about this, it's not the latte, you all. It's not the latte, but it is darn good. I have to tell you, is because my heart is reaching out to your heart, to reach out to the 8-year-olds and the 13-year-olds and the 18-year-olds and everyone up from that to say, let's get this as a culture. So, because when we pause and we do this, we just see the imbalances so much clearly. We breathe, we receive. And then it's so clear what's just for this next cycle. It's, as one of the women said today, it's an act of harmonic defiance, which is the 5th part, Liberate Your Power, in the Overwhelm and Over It book. And I keep saying, going back to the book, you all, not because I'm trying to get you to buy more books, although do buy the book if you don't have it. And if you do have it, pass it on. Because the book is a roadmap out of the banana matrix. And that last part, Liberate Your Power, is really about that power of just choosing to make decisions that bring us into more harmony, not by asking for permission, but just by doing it. So what if taking a power pause was a radical act of activism? My hand is on my heart. But then you teach your kids. You bring into your teams. It's that's what you do. And so I love working with teams and leaders, is because now it's getting ingrained into, and not ingrained is the wrong word, but you should see what happens to these teams when I work with them, and they would never find this any other way. So it starts with you. Now here's the path for every power pause. We stop, we pause, we look back, and we reflect and receive and recognize what's happened. 2, you'll come into the present moment. And every quarter turn is different, but there's a looking, and we work with specific things based on where we are now and where some of the imbalances are, what we want to do, what we could do, just kind of depends on the time of year. And then there's a going forward and looking forward about what we're creating in the next cycle that's a smaller microcosm of the bigger things you want to create. So what we're going to do today is we're going to focus on the first part, receiving your harvest. Next part 2, we're going to focus on creating the next while living in the now. We're not going to get into the part that I do with the equinoxes, really looking at where the imbalances are and resetting those, and which is resetting patterns and habits. There are other podcasts on that, and you can even look in, if you go to the podcast library on the podcast page, Feminine Power Time Podcast or femininepowerpodcast.com. It's on my website. You'll see a Power Pause section on there, and you can tune into other equinox power pauses and listen to some of those previous episodes, and they'll take you through other inquiries. There are also podcast series on imbalances and looking at how to create harmony in them. And if you join us, remember, for the Fall Power Pause, the second part of the Power Pause this year, Personal Leadership Edition, will actually take you through a process for that. But we are focused on honoring and receiving today. All right, so take a sip of whatever you ate with you. Okay. So just take a breath. I know, lots of breathing. And here we are. Our goal, to really help you honor the harvest that you are receiving. So as you see and feel the invisible and the internal, instead of falling into the malaise of the banana culture where you're only celebrating the product versus the process, such a life robber, such a fulfillment robber, we're going to do it different. So here's my first inquiry. Standing here, imagine an arc from the beginning of this year, whether you want to call that last September, whether you want to call that last harvest, whether you want to call that December solstice, whether you want to call it the beginning of January. And looking back, and it's almost like you're holding, these baskets, and the baskets are filling. You're receiving harvest from the choices that you've made in the previous 9 to 12 months. So imagine turning back and looking back at your life, and it's almost like there's like a rainbow between like you and when that started, and you're now at the end of that rainbow, kind of like the leprechauns, right? What has a pot of gold. You have a pot of gold, but you got to stop and pause and open up to receive it. My hands are opening right now, right? So you're like the leprechaun, unless you don't want to be a leprechaun. You could be a unicorn. You could be whatever you want to be. You could just be you. I happen to like leprechauns because they carry shillelaghs, and I just love the word shillelagh. Isn't it just such the best word? Okay, sorry, leprechaun diversion. So here you are at your rainbow, right? At the end of the rainbow for this cycle. And my inquiry is to you to look at what are you harvesting from the choices that you've made and how you give your energy and your effort and your mind share and your care and your time. And let's start. We always will look at, there's 8 realms of a whole life, which is part of the section 1 about liberating your success, looking at getting out of work-life balance, right? The 8 realms. But when we're doing power pauses, we condense it into 4. So just taking a moment and like, what are you harvesting from the relationships in your life right now? Like looking at the relationships and how they're just coming in and you're receiving from them. And that can be personal. That could be professional. That could be individual, or it could be community or organizational. And think of the investments that you've made of time, energy, love, care in these relationships, and feel what's coming at you, like almost like it's going directly into your heart and directly kind of into your navel. Like you're just receiving like, wow, like look what's coming from these relationships that I've invested time and care and energy in. And it can even help to put your hand on your body. I'll put these questions, these inquiries into the chat, into the show notes. So if you want to journal on them, which can be really great, or at the end, I'll ask you to share this podcast with someone else and actually do this with somebody else, these 3 inquiries. But for now, just really receive that. Might even close your eyes if it helps, or just, pick 1 or 2 relationships and feel that harvest of what you're receiving. Maybe even because of your courage to take a step, to open up, to reach out. Just taking a little inhale there and doing the same, focusing on your body, your health, as well as your wealth and your home, like anything that's connected to your physical foundation. Body, wealth, and home. And do not let your inner mean girl or dude or being come in here and frickin' steal the show. This is an honoring ritual, and they are all being sent out to the luau. We're having a luau for all of the inner critics who want to point out what you have not yet done. There's a luau. They can go get lays and drink some Mai Tais or whatever one drinks at a luau, or some guava or pineapple juice. You, my friend, are here to really allow yourself in this last 9 to 12 months, as you're standing at the end of this rainbow. What are you harvesting? What are you receiving because of some of the choices that you've made around your physical foundation and well-being foundation of health and wealth and home and practice? And just feel into that for a moment. Really receive that. Like, see 1 or 2, 3 things. I know for me, I started a body reset, a year-long body reset. And that was back at March Equinox. And so I am receiving from that. I have unlocked some inflammation in my body. I have gained some great muscle in my body. I feel more like it's my body. And I made decisions about making that a priority, finding the right practitioners, sticking to my Pilates program, getting a Fitbit. Although I am complete with the Fitbit, it was lovely for 6 months, but I am complete now. And I'm like, I don't want to wear a watch that tells me my steps for the rest of my life. I know. And so I'm complete with that pattern, but I'm receiving that and acknowledging it. And by honoring it and just as you're doing this to yourself, what happens, it's like that part of your life, whether it's your practice or your body or your home or your wealth, that physical foundation's like, oh, this matters to you. And it responds, it cellularly responds because your body's like, yes, more please. And we're never done, right? Like I still have another 6 months to go on this year-long body reset. So by honoring it, by honoring whatever you're honoring, it's going to bring energy to keep it going. One of the reasons we end up in all the places we don't want to is because when we don't honor, it just feels like maintenance, like rote. I'm just doing it to do it. I'm just doing it to do it. But the thing is, when we're talking about things like on the physical foundation, whether it's money or it is home or it is our body, it is about routine and rhythm and sticking with it and having some variety in there. So it doesn't have to be the sexy, dramatic type stuff. It could just be like maintaining it, but in a way that like you really feel good about it. And then lastly, let's just focus on your work in the world, in your career path and your self-expression, creative expression. What are you harvesting from in that right now because of the choices that you've made in the last 9 to 12 months? And really seeing maybe it was an intention of a project you chose or a change you made or a stand that you took or a focus that you made in that realm of your work in the world, your vocation, your career, your caretaking, for those of you that are caretakers, because that is a job and that is work, or your creative expression. What are you harvesting now? And just acknowledge it, almost like you're putting it in the basket. It's like, oh, like this is happening. And this is the thing when we fail to honor the progress of, hey, it's happening. That thing is like, well, she's not even noticing, or they're not even noticing. So like, whatever. And then we just still are always trying to get to the end versus like, wow, let me receive what's here already. And then it's like, more please, more please. And not more please in like excess, but just like, keep it coming. This feels good. Keep it coming. So what is that for you? This keep it coming. This feels good. What is the harvest that you are receiving from? And just feeling that taking root, like it's kind of an ancillary inquiry to it. It's like, what do you see really starting to take root? It's like a tree that you plant or plant that's an annual. What's an annual? I always forget. The thing that comes back every year. I can't remember plant stuff, you all. It's just like I have friends who remember the plant stuff, and then I talk to them because I cannot remember plant things. I love them, cannot remember them. So the thing that comes back every year, right, it takes some time for it to really put roots into the ground. So what's something that's also taking root? Whether it's in these three areas, like taking root in your body or your finances or your practice or your home, or taking root in your relationships, or taking root in your work in the world or creative expression. There is something really important. And as we slow down to just feel this root, right? Feel that in your sacrum. Or it's where the place where you do a Kegel, or like if you touch like the base of your spine, really like touch there and feel that's your root system. And when we don't stop and pause and feel that there are things that are happening that are rooting, it makes us feel wobbly. Like we're not safe, like we're not secure, like things are topsy-turvy. But, notice when there's like a windstorm, not all the trees topple down. And some of you are working in ecosystems that are, whether it's the entertainment world or the tech world or the retail world. I mean, there's all the different worlds that are having their own topsy-turvy things and windstorms, or companies or families or whatever. And, when we root down and we start to see this is taking root and this is taking root, even if it's not a fully mature tree, it's like our body can relax a bit. Be like, okay, let me just keep tending to this. So what is taking root that you can keep tending to? You've already planted it, and it's about tending. Feel that in your body. Tending, love that word. All right, get a little smile on your face. Channel your inner leprechaun, or whatever magical being might live inside of you, to be like, okay, feeling that rainbow, just like delivering all of that. And also just like standing, like feeling the bottoms of your feet and just wiggling your body a little bit of like, okay, I'm standing here now in time and place and space. It's important for us to do these power pauses, partly just to locate, like, I am here now. It's one of my practices sometimes I do in the morning of I am here now, to register I am here now. I'm here, like I'm here in Asheville. I'm here at September 23rd. I'm here, in this place. And this is where I am in the cycle of time. Again, it's a really great way to move out of that anxiety or frustration or whatever might be imbalanced, to bring you back to center. I am here now, in time, in place, and in space/cycle. Little tip, little practice there. Very powerful. Okay, ready for the second inquiry? All right, take a big stretch up. Stretch. I'm stretching, because this is about stretching. Okay, you could stretch out, you can stretch side to side. Looking back at this last, say, 9 months to 12 months, whatever time cycle you want to work with, what has stretched you? What has stretched you? Like, really feel into this. Stretched you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, financially, materially. All the parts, right? Mind, body, heart, spirit, material, relational. And just because we all do it, right? It's all, lots of us are, some of the stretches that might be like, wow, that was amazing. That felt like a good stretch. Like, just like when you go to like a really good yoga class and someone puts their hand on the small of your back and you're like, oh, that felt so good. And then there's the kind of stretches where you feel like maybe like really distressed, where like you're on one of those ancient torture machines, right? And you're like, stop, it's too much. It's too much. Like, stop, I can't handle it. And then there's all of the stuff in between. So we are constantly being stretched, or maybe it's a stretch you took for yourself. You're like, I'm going to stretch myself into this. And sometimes life happens and you get stretched in a way that maybe you didn't want to, but in the end will be better for you. So just noticing some of those stretches that have happened in this last year, and, notice yourself standing here, looking back and feeling in this moment the inquiry to make to yourself, and I'm going to close my eyes here and I invite you to do that too. Acknowledge the stretch. Just take a moment. This is the honoring. Acknowledge the stretch. Acknowledge the impact of the stretch. Even if it's something you wanted and it stretched you in ways that you didn't anticipate, it's important to acknowledge the stretch and maybe even acknowledge the stress that came with the stretch. And let's take it a level deeper and make the inquiry. How has that strengthened you? How has it strengthened me? Really ask yourself, and not to bypass it or to I want you to feel it in your body. Strength comes from our body. Think strength comes from the mind, but that's BS. Strength comes from the body and that strengthens the mind. The mind is part of the freaking body. The yogis are very clear. If you do not take care of your physical body and the energetics of your body, your mind is going to be stinky pants. So we do have to strengthen our mind and our body and our spirit and our heart, like all four of those parts. It's not just about going to the gym and lifting weights or running endurance, like on a physical level. That's great. But the mind and the heart and the spirit, they also need strengthening. And so you are stronger today than you were at the beginning of this year. I know that. Now, I want you to know that, and I want you to feel it. I want to invite you to feel it. You don't have to do this. This is your sovereign journey. You can be like, Christine, I don't want to. Okay, all good. Don't feel like you need to. I'm just standing here as an advocate for you. And someone who's been doing this for long enough, for, well over a decade, to know, like, if I didn't do this, I wouldn't be who I am today. And I couldn't keep doing what I'm here to do or keep elevating and growing and, just being the most radiant presence I can on this planet. And deeply trusting, again, every day more and more and more, and allowing things to evolve and flow. Like, I couldn't do this if I didn't take these power pauses to look at how I've strengthened. And the thing I know about a lot of us is that there's a lot of invisible things that have gone on inside of you that have strengthened you. And if you don't, and have stretched you, they've stretched you, right? And if you don't pause to acknowledge that, and that is the emotional and the mental and the spirit, mind, body, spirit. The body stuff is easy to see. I'm falling apart, or, it's like, or I'm ripped because I went to the gym or whatever, but it's the stuff on the inside that's going on that's really important to pause and say, this stretched me and it strengthened me. Both. Because otherwise it's kind of like having surgery. It's like having heart surgery. And, you look fine to everyone on the outside, but you just had massive, heart surgery. And yes, you could say, hey, look at my scar, right? So they could see that. But all of the internal stuff that's going on in there and all the tolls that it's taken, that's it takes us recovery time. We don't give ourselves enough recovery time from some of the things that we have experienced. I was just talking to one of the people I work with that in one of my corporate leadership coaching, mentoring stuff. And they have been through, this company's been through massive, bankruptcies and layoffs and just COVID. And these people this person works in the people part of the business. It's been very stressful for people that are been trying to just, keep all of that stable. It's not been stable, working from home, all of it. And I just said to the person, I'm like, look, you and your team have been through distressing situations of trauma. It's called repeated hits. Hit. No time to recover. You need to downshift, acknowledge it, and have some restoration time. Has it strengthened you all? Absolutely. Has it exhausted you all? Absolutely. So let's acknowledge that for each one of us, and not to be in a victim place with it, but to be in that place of power with it. It stretched me. You know what? It also strengthened me. So what's one or two, three of those? Again, you could look in the same place. Relationships that have stretched you, health, financial stuff, home stuff, work, care tending, job, career, vocation. And what happens if you embrace that as a stretch and a strength? All right, last one, my loves. Here we go. All right, last one. Honoring this harvest that you're receiving. What and who has sustained and supported you? What and who has sustained and supported you? So just imagine, again, standing here, the end of this beautiful rainbow, and it's like you have your hands down by your side, and there's just like this beautiful, radiant, warm, rose gold rain that just comes down. It's kind of good rain where you want to stand in it. It's not cold, it's not hot, it's just body temperature. Feeling your feet on the ground, your shoulders relaxing, and you just feel all of this love, all of this support. The things that in this since the beginning of this year, of this cycle, that have really supported you and sustained you. And allowing yourself to feel those, like the raindrops are touching your body. It's water, right? Water, we can't survive without it. Let that water just touch you and feel that support. And it could be relationships that have really shown up for you in different ways, personal, professional, individual. It could be practices and structures that you've put in place, communities that you're part of, choices that you've made with your health, ways that money has arrived or grown, ways you've been able to creatively express, things that have brought you joy, pleasure, fulfillment, supported your radiance and your life force, your well-being foundation, made you feel alive, made you feel cared for, made you feel cared for, not you having to take care of yourself. Like we need to do that now and add that to our list. These are the things that made you feel cared for, like that. And feel their presence. And receive that. Receive that they are present. And say thank you. Have gratitude. Feel that on your body and know it's real. And you can say, yes, please continue this. I am grateful. I honor this support and this sustenance. And just taking a deep inhale in as we complete this ritual, this honoring the harvest you're receiving. Part 1 of our Power Pause here this year. A couple things. One, action. I invite you to share this podcast with someone else and share these with each other, these inquiries, and then reflect to each other. What I really heard you say, what I felt, what I sensed. We did this today in the Power Pause at the Feminine Wisdom Way. The women just came back beaming. That's because it works. And so these honoring rituals are really important. Feel free to, bring that word honoring ritual into your life and your world, but do share this podcast. It's very easy. Share the podcast, forward it right from your app and say, hey, you want to do this with me? And do it virtually, do it in person, whatever. And that's you elevating in joy. And then 2, if you are a leader, a founder, a co-creator, a person that is an established or emerging professional, or out there in the world supporting and guiding others, join us for the Personal Leadership Edition of the Power Pause. It is our gift to you to have a place as a leader and co-creator to land, and you can RSVP at fallpowerpause.com. Feel free to invite your friends. It's really open to anyone as our gift, as we said. And then lastly, I want to just say thank you to those of you who are here with us on the podcast for the season that we are in. Wanted to give a special shout out to True Abundance, who left a review that says, I look forward to each episode. I receive so much wisdom from this podcast. I look forward to each new episode dropping and listen to it as soon as it comes. I highly recommend. So thank you, True Abundance, and to all of you for being here. I keep coming back year after year, quarter after quarter, because I really believe at this time, the wisdom is here for us. It knows how to guide us through. And that's really the way through. I don't even know how to do this without these places of pausing to really tune into our deeper guidance, our deeper knowing. We're encoded, you all, with what is in line to our design at this time. And you've heard me say often, for those of you who've been around a while, it's like we're little time capsules, and our time capsules are going off. And we are programmed and designed for this, and we are stronger together. So take a breath, take a beat, and just feel into the truth in this moment inside your body, your being, your breath, that you do know this path forward, that you are not alone. And one of the most important things we can do for ourselves is to step out of the day-to-day, step out of the fray, to recenter, find our center, tune in, and just take one step forward day by day, guided by grace, guided by our own hearts, and knowing that we are not alone. We are the ones who are here to reimagine and redesign the way this world works, not having to do it all, but just focus on our part. And together, we will make it through. That's what wisdom says. All right, my friends, look forward to seeing you soon. Much love.